and lost. The dump stuff is completely different, and I think it'll be a little bit more straightforward. So let's talk about crashes real quick, and this is going to be a little bit easier, I think, concept to understand, even though it may be new. I think this will be fun. There's some labs also that you all can do to get some hands on. So, what's a blue screen? Do you think blue screens are good or bad? Like, what are your thoughts on blue screens?
Well, it's bad because the server is not responding.
Yeah, I would agree. It's bad. However, have you ever read a blue screen and it's like, hey, your system halted to like prevent damage or corruption to your... So I've never understood that message, because I'm like, what do you mean prevent damage to my system? You just stopped everything in the middle of it. Like, how is that preventing damage to the system? But I would agree with you. It's bad because it indicates a problem that I have to fix, and whoever was connected to the machine is now clearly no longer disconnected. But it's also a good thing, and we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. They are, even though they don't seem this way, they are controlled. Microsoft is actually controlling how the shutdown occurs. It may not seem like it because things halt abruptly, but we are actually working behind the scenes when your machine blue screens to collect data and to try to allow you to be able to triage or identify why it crashed later. You may have heard the term bug checks or stop errors. Typically, it's a problem that is caused by an unhandled issue down in the kernel. So basically, it's a bad driver or some type of kernel mode component that has detected that the system is no longer stable and needs to halt it. A driver can also blue screen the machine intentionally. So drivers, if they detect that, let's say you have a network driver, and the network driver says, oh, I'm in a bad state, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this packet, and I don't want to send it to the wrong location, the network driver can actually blue screen the machine intentionally to indicate there's a problem. So drivers have a lot of power. They can blue screen the boxes intentionally. A lot of the times they can blue screen the boxes unintentionally by issuing a bad instruction to the processor. But most of the time when you see a blue screen, it's going to be some type of bad driver or something related to a driver. So the question is, which driver, right? Which driver can cause this issue? This is an older blue screen. We started doing like the little sad face, I think, in 2016. So you haven't seen these probably since 2012 R2. But these are the ones you're probably typically used to seeing, depending on what OS you're running. You may be running 2012 still, and you may see these. But it says a problem has been detected, and Windows has been shut down to prevent damage. That's the part I was talking about earlier. This section up here, driver IRQL not less or equal. This is the stop message. This is what actually blue screens your machine. So if you ever can physically look at a screen that has a blue screen listed on it, that is very important information to record. So that is the stop code, and then it goes through some basic steps. It says, hey, if this is your first time, restart your computer. If it happens again, then check for any new hardware or software. Disable or remove anything new. Disable BIOS stuff, and it talks about how to go into safe mode. The technical information. So this part is probably the most critical part here. This is the stop code. So this code, it actually just translates to this message right here. So a stop, we read this as stop D1. We don't read all the zeros in front of it. So we wouldn't say stop 0x000000 D1. we would just say stop D1. But this is the actual blue screen code that halted the machine. You can always look this code up and get this message here. So it's not important that you necessarily remember this message as long as you remember this code. So one of these two you want to make a note of. So a stop D1 is a driver RQL not less or equal. Okay, what if you just have a stop code and you don't know the message? Or you have a message and you're like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what driver RQL not less or equal means, or what to do to troubleshoot this. It's pretty easy. So let's do this. Let's we're going to open up the debugger. Now this is what we installed yesterday at the beginning of class. So how do you open the debugger? You hit the Windows key and you start typing WIN DBG. So WIN DBG, and it should return back WinDBG. You want the x64 version. You may have an x86, and you may have you see the arms, you see these down here. You don't want these, you want the x64 version. So let's go ahead and launch that. And it's going to bring up this blank screen right here. So I'll give everyone a second. I would encourage you to open this because this is what the tool we're going to use to analyze blue screens. So I'll give everyone a couple seconds to open this. Hopefully you installed this yesterday. If you did not install this yesterday, I will paste in the chat the instructions from yesterday to install this. Okay, now with this open, you can click on Help and then click on Contents. And it's going to bring up the help file. So basically Help, and then we're opening the help file. Inside the help file, you're going to expand the contents, and there's an option in here that says Bug Checks Blue Screens. So we're going to expand that. And then with that expanded, you're going to look at Bug Check Code Reference. And this is going to list out every blue screen you could possibly have. How do we know? Because blue screens are controlled system shutdowns. Microsoft controls what's happening. So if you've ever gotten a blue screen before, or you have a blue screen on your machine recently, and you know the stop coder, you can look in the system event log and see it. You can scroll down and find the bug check code and see what it meant. So let's take a look at ours. So ours is a stop. I'm looking at this code right here. It's got 3 asterisks, a stop D1. So I'm going to look for a stop D1. And here you can see a bug check of D1 is driver IRQL not less or equal. Okay, awesome. Well, over here in the help file, it actually gives me some information that talks about what a stop D1 is, because this honestly doesn't necessarily help me. This indicates that a kernel mode driver, so we know what kernel mode is, attempted to access a pageable memory at a process IRQL that was too high. Okay, whatever that means. And then it talks about the different parameters. And then it says cause. A driver tried to access an address that is pageable or completely invalid while the IRQL was too high. The bug check is usually caused by drivers that have used improper addresses. Bad drivers. Resolution. Sweet. You can run this command. This is an exclamation point analyze. We call this a bang. Bang analyze debug extension. Displays information about the bug check and can be very helpful in determining the root cause. Awesome. So it looks like all I have to do is get a debugger and run this command, and it will help me analyze it. And it says I can download WinDBG to do the crash dump. Machine just freaked out. Hold on.
You need help with screen update. You guys already logged in. Full screen update is yeah. No, yeah.
Can you all still see my screen or no?
Yeah.
What are you seeing right now?
The solution. The solution.
It's funny. It's funny because I can't see it. Hold on one second.
All right.
Something happens when I use Zoom. The tool I'm using to zoom in is called Zoom In. It's actually a Microsoft tool, but it doesn't like it when I stay zoomed in like that for very long. Hold on. I'm gonna try to kill it. Hold on. Can't see anything on this monitor. My mouse is completely gone. Hold on a second. My cursor's gone and my main screen is completely gone. So now I'm having to do what I used to do, which is use Alt Tab to get around. So funny. Let's see if I can open it. This one doesn't happen. Okay. Can you? Okay. Is it? I have everything back. Zoom In just gave me a hard time. Can you all see my screen still?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I literally could not. Let's see. Okay, so let me start this back up. Okay, so it looks like we need to just download WinDBG, which we already have on our machine, and run this command. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Let's look at the rest of the screen here. So it says it's pointing on the screen to the driver that it thinks is broken. It doesn't always give us the driver that is broken, but in this particular case, it appears to be trying to do that. My fault, .sys. So .sys is a driver. And then it says collecting data for crash dump, initializing disk for crash dump, beginning dump of physical memory, and then it's writing the dump. So what is a dump? A dump is a snapshot of the memory of what the computer was doing at that specific time when it crashed. And by going back and looking at the memory to see what was happening, we can hopefully go back and triage the problem. Okay, so how do we make sure our machine has a dump and we can go back and analyze it? So there's a couple different types of dumps that we have. We have a complete memory dump, which gives us everything in RAM. So if you have 128 gig of RAM installed on the machine, it's going to be a 128 gig dump. That is that's fairly large. We don't typically collect that one. The kernel memory dump is typically the one that we collect and we use for analysis. So it just grabs what's in kernel mode. So that's typically where the problem is. So complete memory dump gives us user mode space, which is applications and kernel mode. But typically we don't need applications when our machine blue screens, because blue screens are typically caused by a problem in kernel. Small memory dump is very small in size. It just gives you the instructions that cause the crash. And automatic tries to determine the best option. And this is the default. I believe, on newer servers. All right, so how do I configure the dump, or where do I look to see if my machine is configured for a dump? It's the same spot we were in yesterday. It's advanced, but instead of going to environment variables, we go into startup and recovery. So I'm going to go inside of there. So I'm going to go back to system. Then I'm going to go into advanced system settings. Yours may be different location, but you're going to get to this screen here. And then from here, I'm going to go into startup and recovery settings. And then this is where all the dump information is. You can see the default is automatic memory dump, and this is the location for the dump. Percent system root is, someone said it yesterday, you can do an echo, percent system root, this is a variable, and it says that it is C:\Windows, or you can do a set space S, and it will tell you system root is C Windows. So if you were going to have a blue screen dump, it would be in C Windows /memory.dmp. So I'm going to check my machine and see if I have a memory dump, and I do not. But that's where you would go and look. Now there's one other location that you may find dumps on your machine. In the Windows directory, there's a folder called mini dump. This is another location that you may find the small memory dumps. So you can check both locations, C Windows for memory.dmp or C Windows mini dump also may contain dumps on your machine. Okay, so once you make those setting changes, you can hit OK, OK. And then now we would go and grab, if our machine blue screen, we would go and look there and make sure that there was a dump. Now, there's a couple cool things about VMware if you are running a guest on VMware. A VMware snapshot can actually be converted to a memory dump. So if your machine blue screens and it's sitting at a blue screen, you can snapshot that and convert it using the VM SS2 Core tool, which is documented here in this KB article. And that will take you through the steps of how you can convert a snapshot to a dump to go back and analyze. Same thing is applicable with Hyper-V as well. Why would I ever want to take a snapshot of my machine? Well, if your server is hung or unresponsive, that is not the same as a crash. So a crash is you're working, all of a sudden it blue screens. A hung server is, hey, I can't access the server, I can't log into the server, no one can get into the server, I need to power it off. But the screen is still there. Maybe you can ping it. It's still showing it's pingable, but you can't access or map a drive. That is a hung server, and you may want to grab a snapshot of that. And if it's a VMware box, you can grab a snapshot, convert it, and then we can go back and analyze why it was hung. Okay, so how do you analyze a blue screen? Pretty easy. You literally just run that one command that we saw earlier, bang, analyze, space, -b. So what I'm going to do is this. In the tools folder, or the dumps folder that you received, the contents of the folder. So let me go back and show you this. So yesterday, I gave you a link to this file right here. When you go inside this file, when you extracted the files, you would see that one of the folders is called dumps. Inside this dumps folder, there are 4 memory dumps. We're going to go through one together, and then I'm going to let you do these 2 on your own as a lab. We're not going to do the 3rd one. So we'll do the 4th one together, and then during lunch or before lunch, I'll give you time before lunch, we're going to do 1D and 2N as a lab. So let's do 4T first. So I'm going to show you how to do this. So I'm going to go and I'm going to click on the Windows key and type WinDBG. You can run it as an admin. In fact, I would prefer you do. Make sure you run the x64 version. So WinDBG, right click, run as admin. Okay, from here, you're going to not click this icon. Do not click this. Why? Because that opens up source file, like you're a developer and you're opening up your source code. I know it looks like it's tempting to open, but do not click that. Click on File, and there's an option here that says Open Crash Dump. That's the one that we want. Then you're going to specify the location that you extracted the files from the OneDrive yesterday. So I already have mine extracted. And I'm going to select 4T. So I'm going to open it. Now it's going to give me this window here that's going to be placed kind of randomly over a bigger window. I'm going to double click this window here, and it's going to maximize it to the full screen. So now I have one window instead of 2 like this. I double click this one and I have one window. Okay, so what does this, so I've opened the dump, I haven't typed anything, what does this tell us? It says that, hey, the machine that you have a dump from is a Windows 8.1 kernel. 64-bit machine, and it has 8 processors. The debug session time, which is when it crashed, was Tuesday, April 28th at 1834, so 6:34 in 2015, and here's the time zone. Then says the system had been up for 0 days, 0 hours, 2 minutes, and 55 seconds. So this machine had not even been up for 3 minutes. So it probably crashed close to boot, if not on boot. All right, it says, for analysis of the file, run bang analyze space -v, which is a hyperlink. So all you have to do is click the hyperlink. And it starts to do the analysis for me. So it displays a bunch of information, and it tells me that, hey, a stop code of 117 occurred, a stop 117, and that means video TDR timeout detected. Okay, I'm gonna scroll down, and what you're looking for is where it says module name. This is the module that it thinks crashed. So to get more information about that module, I'm going to go ahead and click that information, the link. And it says, here's the driver that crashed. It's dated 2013, so it's about 2 years old. And this is the driver. Now it doesn't tell me who it is, so I can copy this and go to the internet and take a look, or I can just go to the machine and look for that driver. Intel graphics card. Video TDR failure. So it looks like I need to update my Intel video graphics driver. Now, if you want more information about a stop code 117, you can go to the help file, contents, and you can look up debugging tools for Windows, bug check blue screens, bug check code reference. If I expand that and scroll down, I'm looking for 117. And this talks about 117. So let's read what a 117 is. Cause. A common stability problem in graphics occurs when the system appears completely frozen or hung while processing an end-user command or operation. Usually the GPU is busy processing intensive graphics operations, typically during gameplay. No screen updates occur and users assume that their system is frozen. Users usually wait a few seconds and then reboot the system by pressing the power button. Windows tries to detect these problematic hang situations and dynamically recover a responsive desktop. The process of detection and recovery is known as timeout detection and recovery. Resolution. The GPU is taking more time than permitted to display graphics to your monitor. This can occur for one of the following reasons. You may need to install the latest updates for your display driver. Hardware issues that impact the ability for your video card to operate properly include overclocked components such as motherboard, incorrect component compatibility and settings, insufficient system cooling, insufficient system power, defective parts. Visual effects or too many programs running in the background may be slowing down your PC so the video card cannot respond necessarily. Analyze V is what they tell you to do. And then you scroll down and it tells you you're looking for the module name. And this is the module name. When you click that, it gives you this information right here. And now you know to update this driver. And that's it. That's literally as simple as it can be. Now, is every problem this simple? No. But are half of them probably this simple? Sure. 25 to 50% of your blue screens will be this easy. So if you can solve half of your blue screens by simply just opening up the debugger and opening up the dump and clicking two links, bang analyze V and LMVM, then that's a good day. That saves you a ticket to Microsoft, that saves user frustration. It's pretty straightforward. So the process is this. I'm going to put these in the notes. As soon as I find what I did with them. All right. Okay, you're at a first look. For a dump. Once you receive the dump, you're going to open in WinDBG. Then we're going to click That's it. This is literally the steps that you need. And all it does is it requires you to have downloaded this at the beginning and set up this system environment variable. So if you do these steps, you can debug a blue screen. Now, the cool thing is this. I don't blue screen on the machine, or I don't analyze the blue screen on the machine that had the problem. So I copy my workstation. You already have the tools set up on your workstation. You set them up yesterday. So you're already set up to look at blue screens. So you're going to go to the server, you're going to find the memory dump, and you're going to copy it to your machine, and you're going to analyze the blue screen on your machine that's already set up with this information. All right. I guess it's hard when I'm not in the classroom, so it's hard for me to see the feedback and to see if there's questions or if people are getting it. I'm just talking into a headset. It makes it very, very difficult to know. Does this make sense to you all? And is this something you feel confident of doing?
Yes.
Okay. So what we're going to do is this. You all are going to go and open up that dumps folder, and you're going to analyze dump 1 and dump 2. Now let me show you one other thing that I didn't show you. When you're done analyzing, you can type QD for quit and detach. I'll put that in the notes. And I'm going to paste these notes into the chat window. So if you get lost, you'll have these notes. Okay, when you're done, you can hit QD, and it will set it up so you can start debugging again. Or you can just open another copy of the debugger. We're going to go over this after lunch, so you may want to open up 2 windows, and so you can go back and review it. So what I want you to do is this. I want you to go into the to the dumps folder, and I want you to analyze 1D and 2N. 1D is relatively simple. It's almost identical to what I did in the example that I just showed you. So it's pretty straightforward. Let me pull up some questions that I want you to answer. So 1 second. Okay, so we're going to do these. 4 I already did. If you want to do 4 on your own, because you did 1 and 2, good. Okay, so this is the scenario for dumps 1 and 2. These are from my machine back in 2012. I was running Windows 7, and I was very happy with Windows 7. But Windows 8 was about to release to the public. And so I wanted to make sure I had Windows 8 installed on my machine so I knew how to use it. So if I got questions from my customer, I would know how to use it. So I went and upgraded my machine from Windows 7 to Windows 8. I did it over the weekend. The next week, I was setting up my machine, was working on it, I locked my machine, came back the next day, and my machine was out of control, delete screen. I didn't think much of it, so I was like, oh, maybe just rebooted because of an update that I got, not a big deal. A few days later, I did the same thing. Locked it, came back the next night or the next morning, and I was at a login screen. Didn't think much about it. Later that day, I'm working on it, and my machine blue screens in the middle of me working on it. I go back and look into that mini dump folder, and I notice there are actually 3 blue screens that occurred over the last 6 days. You can see one happened at 9:22, one happened at 9:28, and one happened at 9:28. So 2 on the same day. So I was concerned because Windows 8 was about a week out from releasing, and I was like, oh great, Windows 8 has a bunch of bugs in it. And this is going to be just like Windows Vista, and everyone's going to hate it. So I began to analyze the 3 memory dumps. Dump 1, dump 2, and dump 3. Dump 3 we're not going to analyze. It's impossible to solve. It's a long story. But dumps 1 and dumps 2, I analyzed to see, is this a problem with Windows 8 or is there something else going on? So that is the scenario of what these dumps are from, dumps 1 and 2. Dump 1 is relatively easy. It should only take you about 5 to 10 minutes. It's literally the same steps that I just did and I just showed you. Dump 2 is hard. Dump 2 is difficult. You're going to have to use the help file, and you're going to have to go through the help file, and there's instructions to follow in the help file of things to try to solve this type of crash. If it's something you're interested in and you want a challenge, do it. If you're like, I'll just wait for John to go over it, then you can just wait for me to go over it after lunch. But it is significantly more difficult. You do need to use the help file and take the steps that the help file suggests you take to help troubleshoot it. So, all I'm looking for is, what do you think happened? So, hey, the machine blue screen because of this stop code. And the next steps. Hey, I would update to this new driver. I would update this driver to a new version. Or I would downgrade this driver to an old version. Or I would disable this setting. I'm really just looking for, what do you think happened? Hey, the machine blue screen because of this stop code. And these are the things I would try to fix the problem. And that's it. If you do 1 and 2 and you're like, hey, I want more practice, then go back and do the one we just did together on 4T. You can do 3L, but you won't get the answer. It's not possible. That's kind of a trick one. So 1, 2, and 4 are the 3, or 1 and 2 are the 2 that I want you to do. If you want to do 4T, I've already done it, but it gives you more practice, more hands-on. If you go through those and you go look in your servers, or you know you have a blue screen on one of your servers right now, and you want to copy it and look at it, feel free to do that as well. Okay, but I would like for you all to at least attempt 1 and 2. All right, so any questions on what I'm asking you to do and what the lab is asking you to do? I'm going to take these steps and I'm going to paste them in the chat window, so if you get lost or stuck on the process, you could go back and follow those steps. Any questions on this particular task?
John?
Yes.
Actually, I did look in the internet, so when I tried to run the WinDebug application and then try to select the first dump, it says that debug is not connected. I already checked the variables, I think it is correct, but unfortunately it says that the debug is not connected.
Okay. Are you selecting file?
Open crash tab.
Okay, so let's do this. Can you share your screen real quick?
Sure.
I think you should open the debug, or the debug that they installed.
Yeah, let's see.
Alright.
It happened to me a while ago. Then I go to open the one end, and I'm already in the second one.
So, Justin, what was the issue? What did you do to fix it?
I just found the debug key before running the WinDBG.
So like when you do,
It's like the person he's not calling the debug when it's not open. Something like that.
okay. Raymond, do you know how to share your screen or no? In Teams, can you share your screen in Teams? Let's see. Maybe someone else is.
Alright. Able to see my screen?
Yep. Debugging not connected. Okay. So, do you see where it has the pause under window? There's a little pause icon, like the two little blue lines. Right, up.
This one.
Yeah, click
From
that.
Files 86.
Okay.
I think
So-
it's responding.
So it looks like, yeah, so it actually looks like it actually opened the dump,
Yeah.
but it is struggling to give you the command. It's struggling to finish loading it. Did you run it as admin?
Yes. Alright.
Okay. Go ahead and close it. Let's try it one more time. But yeah, it looks like it's still in the, how long has it been on that screen?
For a while.
Long time.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and close it. Let's try it one more time.
Alright. Actually, I already created dump on this one. Using the test manager, so I can analyze it as well. And then we try to for just to be quick. Alright. So alright, as administrator. Alright. Done it quite a few times. And alright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess what's the difference you think? Is it just because we were all watching you this time?
Yeah, that's sure. Honestly, that's why I already created that, so I can analyze it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing you can do is this. The next time, let me show you a trick. So open Task Manager real quick.
Alright.
The next time you have an application that's not responding, like WinDBG, go ahead and click on the Details tab.
Alright.
And then you can go to WinDBG if you want, just any application. So the next time an app stops running, right click that, and there's an option that says Analyze Wait Chain. Go ahead and click on that. If it's waiting on something, so if it's hung because it's waiting on something like network I/O or disk I/O or something, it will tell you what it's waiting on right here in the white box. It'll tell you, hey, it's waiting for network I/O. So the next time it happens, and I should have probably had you do that before I had you close it. But the next time you have any application, it could be Chrome, it could be Teams, it could be WinDBG, just right-click the app and say Analyze Wait Chain, and if it's hung because it's waiting on something else, it will tell you what it's waiting on. So that may help you with your troubleshooting. And you can do that on servers and you can do that on clients. So anyway, awesome. So you can cancel that. It looks like it's up. Let's go ahead and open the second copy, and let's see if we can open the second dump just to make sure that both of them work. So go ahead and open another copy of WinDBG. So it looks like it's going to hang on this one too, right?
Alright.
So we'll give it a second.
Sure.
Go ahead and go into Task Manager. Does it show not responding? No, it's still running. Let's do this. Click on Performance tab and click on Open Resource Monitor. Sort by image name and click it one more time. And then let's look at WinDBG.
I think this is the one.
Oh, yeah, so let's click on the overview tab actually. The top left. Yep, down. Yep. Okay. So sort by name. And then there should be two of them there. Do you see the other one? Check. Scroll up. Where's the other one? There you go. Check both of those. Okay. So expand network and disk. Let's see if it's doing anything to the network or the disk. So WinDBG looks like, so scroll down to network. It looks like it's actually trying to talk. So you see there, that's what it's doing.
Alright.
So you see it's receiving network that bytes 70K. So it is waiting on network I/O. So this is what I do when I have an application that I think may be frozen. I go in and just make sure that it's not doing any type of network or disk. And in this case, it actually is just sitting there downloading the network. So what it's doing is this. For us to successfully analyze these dumps, we have to download symbol files. That's what that environment variable that I gave you does. So that caches to your C:\web symbols. But this is right now pulling something from the network. So before, honestly, it probably just was downloading something from the network and got hung up. But let's check C:\web symbols and see if there's anything in that folder in Explorer, or there is fine.
I'm sorry.
CD/web symbols. Do CD/, and then CD space web symbols. You can, yeah, and then dir. Yep, just hit enter. Okay, so that's what it's doing. It's probably downloading that, but the network is very, very slow. About 74K a second, which is why it's taking so long. But the good news is, once it downloads it, for one, it should download it. They both should use the same files. Can you minimize that? When DBG come back? Okay, so for everybody, you may want to open the first one and the second one, and let the second one download while you're doing the first one, because apparently it's going to take a minute to download because the internet. So, but hopefully that helps fix it.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Any other questions on this? So this is what I propose. Let's go ahead and start the labs now, and then we'll go over them. I'll give you about a half an hour, or whatever, however you want to break up your lunch. You can go to lunch now, but we'll check back in at 1 o'clock, and we'll go over the dumps together at 1. So you can do the labs now and then go to lunch, or go to lunch now and come back and do the labs. But I'll give you an hour and a half to do lunch and to go through the labs, go through the dumps. So you get an hour and a half. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'll be on the headset for a little bit longer. I'll probably go grab some lunch myself. But if you have questions, feel free to post them in the chat. If I'm not at the headset, I'll come back and check it. And
All right,
I'll
John.
answer it. Yes.
Hello, John.
Yeah.
Sorry.